Hey guys, it's Thursday evening. I hope you are all doing really well. So let's take a little look at the markets, get a bit of an update. We've got one more day to go, one more trading day, and then we have a little bit of a break. Well, that's when we do our weekly analysis, but we've got another day to go. So let's see what potentially we could expect on the last day of trading. I'm just going to start off with dollar yen because yen is just, yen is just going crazy, going ballistic. It's just going north. So last time I did a video for you guys was on Tuesday. And what I said then pretty much still stands now. I mean, you can see if I look at the daily, the weekly, the monthly, how huge this move is. It's such a big move that you would naturally think, well, this move is well overextended and expect it to have a correction, and you would be that would be a pretty normal thing to anticipate. What I would say is that and it is the same advice as what I said Tuesday. I don't believe that end of day traders should be placing buy stops, for instance, above daily candles and maybe a stop loss below. So let's just say this is Thursday's candles here. Friday's has opened because it opened at 9 o'clock tonight. So this was Thursday's candle. I don't think, I mean, where are you going to put your target, first of all? I mean, you go to the left and you have to go back, well, up here. So we're talking, are you going for 125, 126, which is back in 2015. So I don't think end of day trades really are the way to go, because this market could turn around at any second. It might not, it might carry on, don't get me wrong, but it's so overextended it could just turn around, take you in, stop you out, and drop down. Now, if you are an end of day trader and you want to trade this, because it's so overextended, I honestly think that if you felt that you needed to place a trade, then it might be worth trying to place the counter trend, because expecting price to correct after such a big move, 1-to-1 would be here. For me, I'd be banking half of my profit there, putting it to break even, and then potentially, a target down here, which was previous resistance. So as an end of day trade, that would make more sense to me, believe it or not, than having the buy trade where you don't really have a target. I mean, you can put a 1% or 2% target if you want to, but after such an extended move, you got to think about the probabilities. Is the probability more that this is going to correct, or is the probability higher that this is going to continue to the upside after such an extended move? I mean, for me, the odds are that this will reverse, but we will see. Now, for me, if you did want to buy this, then the way to do it would really be in the smaller time frames, for instance, going down into the hourly, maybe even 15-minute, but certainly let's have a little look at we'll look at this one here, the hourly, just getting little pullbacks. Now, you may have your own rules about, you may have your own strategy. For instance, I always like if you've been watching my videos, I always like a pullback into the 20 moving average on the hourly and a rejection. In fact, I look for a morning star pattern predominantly. You can look for that, but you can see that because this is such an impulsive move, it's literally bouncing off this 8 moving average as well. So, for me, if you are going to go long on any of the yen pairs, probably best to do it on a smaller time frame rather than as an end of day trade. End of day trade, if you're going to set a trade, for me, probably best to do a counter trend trade, looking for the correction. Alternatively, you can wait for the first daily bearish candle on the yen pairs, and pick one of the yen pairs that you like. Obviously, we're looking for some yen strength to come into the market. So you'd want to trade it against a weaker currency. So weaker currency first, and the yen would be second. You can always, like I say, wait for a bearish daily candle and put a sell stop underneath that if you are anticipating further downside. So there's a couple of ways to trade these yen pairs, but definitely if you're going to go long, smaller time frames, hourly or less, I would suggest. So just be a little bit careful. Okay, it's such a big move. You don't know when it's going to turn around, but that's my thoughts anyway. So take them as you will. Euro Kiwi, we've placed a sell underneath this. In fact, I think you could probably go live at market right now and sell it. I'm not too sure what the spreads would be though. Yeah, it's a bit of a funny time because the market opened and closed. It closed at 9 p.m. and that was about 50 odd minutes ago. So the spreads are still a bit high at the moment. So I'd check out the spreads. On my broker at the moment, spread is 28 pips. So you need that to settle down a bit more. We've got a sell stop underneath this candle here. We had a false break when this candle broke out here. In fact, before I talk about this trade, this is the price action. This is a bearish market at the moment. Euro Kiwi, Aussie and Kiwi have been very, very strong markets. And what I'm looking for potentially is for price to come back down and test this low here. May even break it, but let's just say test it. So looking at that 4 hour, very, very bearish market. 1 hour, obviously bearish as well. This is the 50 moving average on the hourly, and actually on our watch list, which we sent out on Wednesday, we suggested looking for an evening star pattern having tested and rejected the 50 moving average, like this one, evening star pattern. Yeah, this one, 1 2 3, and look what happened today, guys. 1 2 3. So you could have sold underneath that candle if you wanted to, and you'd be in a little bit of profit. But but before that happened, we had this CTL or counter trend line. We had a solid close below, so we have put a sell stop underneath there. Stops above the trend line. So we're just going to either, our traders had the option to sell that evening star pattern there, which is what we predicted in the Wednesday watch list, or what we said to look out for. But before that happened, we had this clean break here. So we have got a sell stop underneath there and a stop above the high. And if that comes off, then brilliant. That selling into support, that's a 1.5% trade. So that's something you can have a little look at. Kiwi Cad, nothing on this at the moment, but just keep an eye out because it's at resistance, as you can see. We've got basically a descending channel, which is quite obvious, and we have tested it once here, twice, got an evening star pattern here. Now for me, that isn't necessarily a sell setup. I'd rather see it change cycle, if I'm honest with you. So this is the that's the daily. So I'll be looking for sellers to come in and take charge of the market on this. So I'll be looking at changes in cycle on smaller time frames. We've got a nice trend line here actually. Now whether you want to draw that trend line there, or potentially you could look for that one there. I would like to basically encompass these two lows here, if I'm honest with you. So potentially I'll be looking for the break of that trend line as a potential sign that this is dropping. Strictly speaking, what you'd really want is a lower low, because you want it to change cycle. So here, oops, there's your swing low. So strictly speaking, to see a change of cycle, you want to see that low broken. So what you could look out for is, I'll change the color, don't worry guys, because you can't see it. I think I've messed this up. I might need to do this one again. No, because I don't want it to look like that. New low and higher low. So can you see we've got a low, high, higher low, higher high, lower low, and then you trade the first lower high, and it might come back up into here and test this support level, and it could become resistance. Okay, old support becomes new resistance. So you could have a look for that on the smaller time frames before you get involved, because it could equally break to the upside as well. Just because it's in a descending channel doesn't mean that it will continue in that channel forevermore. But I'll be looking for price to start to what we call roll over. Those buyers change and turn into sellers. Alternatively, if you're an end of day trader, you can look for these moving averages to cross over like they did here. Look for your first pullback, look for evening star pattern, for instance, and look to sell. So keep your eyes on Kiwi Cad. Pound USD, I've talked about, I think on Tuesday. Mark's probably talked about it as well in his videos. We traded this, and we talked about this inverse head and shoulder pattern here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, trading up to 133. And then potentially we're looking for a break of 133, retest, and then a push up into this little zone here, just above 134.30. Now we came about 1 pip short of 133 yesterday, and we've dropped back down. So now a bit of a funny one now, because we don't know what's going to happen. There's two ways you can look at this. You can look at this inverse head and shoulders as just part of a correction of this move down, for instance. So let's just say we have this impulse down, this is a correction, and we could still get another impulse down, breaking this low. So this could actually be a flag pattern to break to the downside, but equally we don't know whether the sellers have left the building, if you like, and we are seeing just buying now. So just keep your eyes on this, because it could go either way. You'll have to watch this trend line. Do we break? Look at the candles. Do they look impulsive? Do they look big? Okay, look at these candles here. Not much in the way of corrections. Big candles, sharp candles. That's an impulsive move there. Yeah. Here, look, sharp moves. Correction. These sharp moves down. Can you see? So if you start seeing sharp candles dropping to the downside, look for a correction and then look for a sell opportunity. But equally, this, it could still push to the upside. So it is a bit of a funny one at the moment. What you could do is, as well, we've got some resistance here, as you can see. You could put an alert above there to see if price breaks and closes above there. You've also got, and if I just clone that, also got this low here. So potentially whichever one of those alert goes off could indicate which way the market is going to move. It will certainly alert you to the fact that price is broken out either side. So I'm going to leave those alerts on actually. So potentially if we break above and close above this resistance here, potentially we could be going for 133 again. If this alert goes off and we close below this level here, then potentially we could be having another move down to break this low here. Because you've got to remember that, excuse the color scheme guys, I like my different color schemes. So we are in a descending channel. Okay, moving averages are still bearish on the daily. We could be forming a kind of a flag pattern, a little correction there for another move down. It's looking, I've got to admit, looking at this daily time frame, it's looking a little bit steep. This this price action. So if I was going to say anything, I would look at this as the potential start of upside. Okay, but we need to see in price action, we need to see those higher highs, higher lows before we get involved. Don't listen to me, and if I say, yeah, this looks upside, you just start buying. That's not the way you should be trading. There has to be, you have to be using a strategy. Okay, you have to be seeing higher highs, higher lows. Okay, if you're a buyer, or lower lows, lower highs, lower lows if you're a seller. Okay, it needs to be a strategy. You need to see something which agrees with the analysis. We don't just buy or sell because we think something is going to happen. So that's a really, really important part of trading. This looks bullish to me looking at the daily. However, you know, for me, if yesterday's low gets broken, because potentially, look, you know, we've almost got this evening star pattern here. Now, for me to actually trade an evening star pattern short, I would have needed that candle there to have closed below the 8 moving average, which it didn't. But for me, if we break yesterday's low potentially, or Thursday's low I should say, potentially we could be making another move down. So just one of those things, you know, got those alerts set. We'll see what happens, see which alert goes off, and you know, if there's some price action there that looks decent and we can trade it, we recognize what's going on, then great, we'll trade it. Couple more charts we'll look at. I don't really look at this. Oops. It's Bitcoin, but this was something I sent out as part of the watch list on Wednesday, and it actually hit target today. Basically, price is moving within an ascending channel. I think price was somewhere down here when we sent out the watch list, and I said, right, buy, you know, look for buyers, target 44,000. Boom, 44,000 hit, and that's just trading, you know, cyclicity, getting higher highs, higher lows. So potentially now we could start to see price roll over, and we see a correction back to this trend line. Now, if you're a trend trader, you're not going to be interested in that. You're going to let that happen and then look for buyers again. But we've got a little bit of resistance up here, as you can see, at 45,000. So price could be heading up there again. So keep your eyes on it if you're a Bitcoin trader. If we get a nice pullback into those daily or 4 hours or so moving averages, you can look for a buy setup and potentially look to target 45,000. One more chart. This has surprised me today. Because I was looking for silver to drop into the $24 region, if you've been following my analysis. So very surprised here. I'm not too sure what happened to cause this, but we've got this little triangle here. I was looking for it to break to the downside, didn't happen, broken to the upside, and potentially forming a correction there. So there's a potential another push here to the upside, put it that way. Now we've got resistance here. We've also got the triangle resistance, so potentially we could, if I get my drawing tool, we could maybe test the level and bounce there and look for 26 to be tested. Alternatively, we may bounce off the resistance, previous resistance of the triangle before we hit that 26 as well. Now, if you don't use levels and maybe you use moving averages, cool. Nothing wrong with that either. So I'd have a look, because I don't really trade silver around with moving averages. I more use the moving averages with forex pairs, if I'm honest with you, but I would just have a little look to see how it moves. So it can, you know, it can pull back into the 20 and the 50 like it has done here. If it's very impulsive, it can just bounce off the 8, but my preference is, you can see where that 20 moving average is there, matches up with this level. I would like to see it come and maybe get a morning star pattern off that 20 moving average. But also that 50 moving average is there. So it's a case of being patient, waiting for price to come into your zone or area of interest. So for me, it's the 20 moving average, and then you're looking for your candlestick or candlestick pattern that you want to trade. So I'll be looking to trade a morning star pattern. If I get a morning star pattern on this time frame off the 20 moving average, then potentially I'll trade it long up towards 26. If I don't get that morning star pattern, potentially it continues to drop down, then I'll be looking for it here around that 50 moving average, and also around the top of this triangle here. So it's a case of, like I say, having an area idea of where you're looking to trade from, and then you're looking for the right candlestick or candlestick pattern for you to trade. Okay, for you to get involved. Hope that makes sense. And yeah, let's see what happens with the market tomorrow. Last day Friday, like I say, and then we get hopefully some nice sunny weather over the weekend. Anyway, guys, listen, have a great rest of your week, and I will speak to you really, really soon. Take care. Bye.